Good luck and have fun, ladies and gentlemen. This is the semifinal of the FABS 2025 Frank Algo Behemoth Summer of 2025 Stormgate tournament. With, let me introduce the players. In the lower right is High, our red Vanguard player. Upper left, Grimmy, the insane blue Celestial player. Playing on Short Circuit, a map made by Matterino. Matterino made this map in a cave with a box of scraps. But look at this, like the little batteries coming out all crooked. The wires are kind of cut and like the cables are running across stuff. There's cables running over this sparky tower looking thing. There's huge capacitor looking things over on the side. Like, oh, what a cool looking map. What a cool looking map. I know in earlier iterations there used to be cables going into the Stormgates. Maybe some of those got taken out. Might have been for performance reasons. I don't remember. But anyway, it looks like Grimmy going for, yep, a natural, a creation chamber. Basically everything that you'd expect. Dipped into the red power here. I don't remember what that does. Because I want to say that there were some things that don't get affected by dipping into red power anymore. I need to go back and look at the patch notes if I'm being perfectly honest. Meanwhile, back over on the Van GG side of the map, we see, that's another thing, by the way, guys, the being able to like look into the little pit of Therium, and it's like, it's glowy and it's ominous, and it's almost like, it's something that I would expect out of Stranger Things, where it's like maybe a little bit hokey, but it's still kind of like, okay, that's kind of cool. The lighting effects in there are pretty cool. One doggy's going to show up and see these triangular looking aliens shooting their guns at him. Doggy's going to go forward and nibble one of them. He's going to take 3 shots, and 3 more shots are going to finish off the Robo Doggy. And does he still... He does still leave a human skeleton. You know what that means, chat? That means that it's still... Is it still a dog? Is it still a scout? Like, I know that like it's both mechanical and biological. The tags say that it is. But the fact that a human skeleton drops out of it, you do the math. What does that tell? Eva, you know what my theory is on this. I'll chat what my theory is on this. I shudder to repeat it on something that's going to end up on YouTube. Oh, there's a Hedgehog. Hedgehog's finally out. Now we're starting to do bonus damage to heavy here. There we go. One servo gets inside of the turret to make it a Repair-O-Matic, and the Repair-O-Matic will be able to heal up the dog, the hog. Ooh, that's a lot of shots going over to the puppy. Yeah, these dogs aren't taking bonus damage from the Argents, but oh boy, you better believe that Hedgehog is, even if it's lightly armored and it's not taking bonus damage from the Argents, it's still, that is a lot of firepower coming down at once.
A Stormgate will activate soon.
First Stormgate coming online here over at the 9-ish o'clock position. Not exactly. So we know, okay, here's something else that I think Stormgate's gonna have to come up with. Everyone knows that the positions around the map are like, here's 12, here's 3, here's 6, here's 9. What do we do about like closeness to the center? Like, do we do outer ring, inner ring, mid ring? So would this be like mid ring 9 o'clock? What do we call this? What do we call this when it's not at the edge of the map where it's 9 o'clock-ish, but it's not at the center of the map where we just say it's center? Community, get on it. Trust you guys. Okay, one Argent does go down. The very battered up Hedgehog needs to get out of there. Okay, but are they going to come back? Oh, we might be able to see Hyde getting this Stormgate. I think Grimmy just doesn't have the Grimmy just doesn't have like, I know this term gets thrown around a lot, but the DPS density to make sure that when every single Argent fires, is he getting a kill on a Hedgehog every time? Because if not, those Repair-O-Matics are crazy good. Okay, out comes the Stickman. Stickman is really good unit, but I think you need really tanky units for Stickman to get the most value possible. And dogs and hogs are not the tankiest units of all time. Here, a couple of woof-woofs go down there. Okay, the Argents, are they going to be able to take down hogs and dogs? I don't think so. I think whenever they try and turn around and do like a stutter step-ish thing, they're just hitting dog. Yeah, like look at this. They're hitting so many dogs. A lot of okay. Heaven Step moves on forward here to get on top of the hedgehogs, but I think the amount of rocket damage that's being done here. Okay, one hedgehog goes down, another one goes down. But man, the Argent numbers are starting to drop as well, and it doesn't seem like they're focusing fire as well as they could be. Okay, now we've got the static D node up. Oh no, I don't think that cliff walk was supposed to happen. But it still looked pretty cool. Alright, all these hedgehogs aren't fighting for some reason, even though that one's going kind of unopposed. I don't want to say that they could have had a creation chamber down by now, but that is a lot of DPS, and they do save up their rockets eventually, so maybe they could have. Anyway, no sense in wondering now. Another power node's gonna go down. Doesn't even get to finish. Heaven Step doesn't get the shot off. Oh, barely doing any tickle damage with the Argents there, but man, really gotta figure out something to do with hedgehogs and really what's in your arsenal as a celestial player. Like, you could get Cabal and try to lift them up to keep them from kiting you, but then if you lose that Cabal and it's so far forward, then that is a bummer. Like, that is a lot of Therium to just have vanish. But you know what? It seems like High's kind of disengaging now. Maybe he wants to go chill. Wants to really, yeah, he wants to saturate this command post, maybe.
A Stormgate will activate soon.
The winner fidget spinner's getting a good look at the collection array that's coming down over here, and definitely High won't let him get away with it. All right, the sliced in 4 spinning donut is starting to spin.
A Stormgate
Blinky blinky go the lights, but we're gonna have a fight over here in the center mid. Ay ay ay. Okay, so many shots being done onto the Argents there. They do a double Heaven Step to make sure that they're getting in the way there. Kree are a beautiful response to all these hedgehogs, but the downside is that the Kree end up functioning like the frontline units. And because they're so fast, the hedgehogs can just keep running away and running away and running away until the Argents can't keep up. And then, you know, there's just no more DPS there. The Kree can catch them, but then there's nothing there to back them up. Okay, we see a couple more power banks going down. Trying to keep up these Argents topped off. And the hedgehogs are kind of still like staying in low-ish numbers. And still, nobody's going for the Stormgate. Still got most of the life left. And it's a tier 2 Stormgate. I think the rewards from this could be really good. Oh, there's the Vulcan. Is he going to be able to take it, though? He should be able to. And he's got leftover dogs, so he could kind of leave dogs in various places around the map to scout. But I think not taking the Stormgate's a big crowd high here. Like, the buffs are so good. Whether it be like, hey, increased production speed on your production structures, especially for a Vanguard player, that's really good. Someone clipped that. When the Kree exploded, there was that golden yellow light, but it reflected off of the front of the Vulcan's armor. That looked really cool. I will say I'm thoroughly impressed by the lighting in this game. Okay, so this little conga line of hedgehogs is going to find a couple of Kree, take them for free. But Grimmy's really doing a good job of staying super active on the map. He's out here mining all kinds of resources. In fact, he might be like floating a little bit too much. 400 is more than what we're used to seeing. As I say that, the conga line of hedgehogs shows up. Now, is Grimmy going to try and surround absolutely everything? I think he is. Here comes the Kree from the back. He's surrounded from the north, surrounded from the west, surrounded from the north and the west and the east. And absolutely everything out of High is going to get cleaned up here. Or will it? Will he be able to fight his way out? I don't know. Do we see any... Oh, we've got 4 Vulcans on the way. One just shows up and says, like, hey, I get that you guys want to do some damage here, but Big Daddy Vulcan is in the house. There's not a whole lot of energy left on these medtechs. And you know what? I think turning off autocast for the heal and saving that energy to autocast... the autocast nano swarm would be the bet. I think that's the way to do it. All right, couple of Kree. No, they're in the worst possible position to fight the Vulcans now. Oh, but yeah, Grimmy realizes that there's not much that can shoot up. So many of these hedgehogs getting taken out. And yeah, now he can start firing down at these Vulcans with impunity. There's absolutely nothing he can do to stop getting damage taken by the Seraphim. Now the Seraphim aren't exactly doing a whole lot of damage. Let's see what they're what is it? The Lawata of the Venatora? That I don't know what that is. That sounds like a very expensive suite in a Las Vegas hotel. But High, in the meanwhile, is taking on the entire bottom edge of the map. And are we going to see a split map scenario here? All we're waiting on really is I mean, yeah, Grimmy's taking this. Like, yeah, we've populated basically every single. Don't leave your reward behind. Ay, ay, ay. Or is he gonna bait it out? Yeah, he's gonna say like, hey, come on over. So many of the hedgehogs transform, but Grimmy, you've got to choose your prize. Grimmy, no, don't let it fade. I think he will though. Just not gonna choose something. Chose the Stormcaller. Oh, okay. I need everyone to go to YouTube right now. Well, not right now, but after this match is over, go to YouTube and look at Hupsai's video where he uses a Stormcaller in like on an enemy that's kind of like sandwiched. And you'll see like just how effective that Stormcaller can be. And it's a really funny clip to boot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a game. This is only map 1. Like the score's nothing right now. I thought we were gonna see something cheesy, something a little bit cheeky to be like, all right, map 1. You know, this is no one's tournament life is on the line just yet. But no, this is turning into quite the scrap. That is a lot of Vulcans, and the Vulcans are so beefy. But are we going to see anything else? Oh, we've got Archangels out now. Okay, but are the Archangels going to go around the edge of the map and start doing damage to, Wait, or did they already start doing? Is Grimmy stealing Therium? Oh, no, but alright. No, the Stormcaller, use it! There we go. And the storm that is a rage. Okay, Archangels, are they going to fall down? No, they're going to start punching the Hornets with their bonk sticks. Couple of meteor smashes there. And they Avatar instantly so that they're able to do the AoE attack. There you go. One Vulcan does fall. That one's going to stay in the air, I think. No! Oh, so many Sky Mines get dropped there, but it looks like that Stormcaller is not going to be as effective as he hopes. Oh, but it's getting so much. Oh, it was about to get so much damage on all the servos, and right then it dissipates. Archangel and a bunch of Argents are that are on the ground are keeping the Hedgehogs and the Hornets at bay. But yeah, I think this base is just forfeit now. There's absolutely nothing that High can do to keep him away. The Hornets being able to kite the Archangel in the sky is kind of a cool thing to watch. Oh no, that must have been a Sky Mine that wiped out so many Seraphim at once. Yeah, and then the slow that comes along with it's pretty brutal as well. Some scythes are on the map. People are building scythes in Stormgate in 2025.
A Stormgate will activate soon.
All right, and I think this is High's fighting retreat, and I think it's actually going to end up in High's favor. There's just not enough reinforcements coming out of Grimmy here. But there is a tier 3 Stormgate coming online, so if High can capture this and continue his counter push momentum, I think he might be able to win this game. But it's only game 1. We still have another, well, possibly 4 games after this. At least 2 more. At least 2 more. For those of you that are in the chat that are asking what the Stormcaller does, it creates this huge fire tornado that you get to control, and it does not do friendly damage. Holy Sky Mines. That was a lot of Sky Mines. Okay, so it looks like High is going to get this Stormgate. One of the comeback mechanics with the Stormgate is that if you didn't win the Stormgate previously, you do bonus damage to the Stormgate the next time it pops up. This is the tier 3. What is it? We see a prize getting selected? Anything come out? Maybe it just died that quickly. Bunch of Heaven Step Argents come forward. No, the Hornets are starting. trying to take out the sides, and everything that's in the Celestial Air Force falls. All that's left to retreat is an Argent and a single Scythe. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, and this looks so cool. The green lasers of the Hornets impacting into the Arc ship, and it's not... There's nothing it can do. It can't land, and it can't take off to escape. So many morph cores being made out of the power banks there, and we're starting to get a fight on two different fronts here. The creation chambers over on this side of the map, but oh no, Grimmy's very estranged base is about to get hit by a lot of Vanguard. Oh, this evac's going to continue to get hit, and two Atlases. Is it two Atlases that are going to go down in there? No, they almost do. But almost isn't going to be quite enough. These Archangels are going to continue to chase the evac, but the evac decides to RTB home. The Archangels managed to go down right before the Sky Mines impact a whole bunch of stuff. The Scythes managed to tank a bunch of it. And again, I think Grimmy's just getting, like, the Hornets. He can't deal with the Hornets right now. I don't know what he... Like, what do you do as a Celestial player against that many Hornets? The Sky Mines actually are such a pain just because they do that slow as well. So really you don't need to drop an entire, like, you don't need every single Hornet to drop a Sky Mine because it does that AoE slow, and then you can just kite those air units forever. And undeployed Atlases are certainly a choice. Oh no, are you gonna let them stay undeployed? But the fight over here, I think, is taking everyone's attention. The Archangels do Meteor Smash into the ground. Are they going to Avatar? I think one of them has enough energy for it, but the rest of them don't. They do fantastic DPS, and they're really, really tanky, but I think High might have done it. I think he might have cracked Grimmy's base over here. And there's nothing, like, there's just not enough of there's not enough backup. Like, these Argents can try to stream in and try and defend, but yeah, I mean, the collection array is not quite gone yet, but it's going to be the last thing to fall. Everything else, all that production, all those energy, all those power banks are gone. So that's really gonna, I think that's really gonna impact Grimmy's ability to get an army back up. He is at 180-ish supply, which is great, but 280 supply is a whole lot better. Oh no, and it looks like High's gonna be able to take the Stormgate as well. I'll be very curious to see what prize he gets. But this is all valuable time that Grimmy can use to build his army back up. Alright, Stormgate is fully up and operational. High has 3 options for which prize to choose. You're going to choose one before starting the fight, though. Guess not. No, these Hedgehogs are going to stay up on the high ground and start taking out so many Prisms. The Stormgate still hasn't been picked yet. Oh no, and everything gets seen. A bunch of really good system shocks go down from the medtechs on most of the army here for High. Okay, a bunch of good cloaks happen. No, but the Atlas gets a shot off and reveals a whole bunch of the units. Those power banks absolutely completely deplete themselves. There's the Stormcaller. There's the Stormcaller, but is it going to get on anything very important? It does! It's getting on top of a bunch of Argents and some Animancers. The Animancers and Argents are kind of tucked into a corner trying to run away from absolutely everything. Is that evac going to get taken out? It will, but that, oh man, that Stormcaller is doing quite a bit of damage to those few units. Archangels falling left and right. Hedgehog rockets flying up into the sky. Medtech Medtech system shocks, making sure that everything is moving faster and faster and faster. This is one of the most chaotic fights I've seen. Actually, this might be the most chaotic fight that I've seen in Stormgate. Maybe not on since Isle of Dread. Isle of Dread had some pretty crazy ones, but like so many different effects happening here. So much like AoE and so much support happening. Like both of these players showing us how the spellcasting is meant to be done. Grimmy's down sub 100 supply now, just trying to make a fight out of it, but yeah, I don't know. Animancers and a couple of Argents do not a good fight make. High is still sitting up at 277 supply with 1600, 1700 now Luminite. He could remax pretty quickly, and I think a lot of Grimmy's mining is just gone. Look at this. This is the riot in the streets between all the citizens. No, so many prisms going down. I think the writing is on the wall here. We're just slowly watching Grimmy get unraveled by what started off as insane Hornet pressure and like just not really having much of a way to deal with that many Hornets. Nice raise, GG, says Grimmy. On to game number 2. High is going to go up 1-0. All right, guys, here we are in game 2 on Emberfrost between Grimmy and High in the semifinals of the FABS25 tournament. Here's High. He's a Vanguard player. Here's Grimmy. He's a Celestial player. What an insane back and forth we had in game 1. I think it'll be equally interesting on this map. So this map doesn't have 5 Stormgates. It has only 3. 3 Stormgates on the map. But that being said, I'm not sure that the Stormgates actually made that much of a difference combat-wise in terms of combat power. Like the Stormcallers were definitely there, and they had to be maneuvered around. I mean, they were taken into account during the fights, but it felt like they didn't actually get a whole lot of damage done. Still, forcing your opponent to have to like reposition a lot and have those combat units like basically running for their lives instead of fighting does change things up quite a bit. I also think that having a player like when the Stormgates require a lot of damage to get taken out, it gives one player a bit more room to breathe to kind of be like, okay, like we can start building some static D here, and maybe it'll probably still be under construction by the time your opponent's army arrives, but you know, depending on how you fight, maybe it'll finish up by the time they get there. All right, so barracks out. First doggy's almost done. Doggy's coming across the map. By the way, speaking of doggies, if you guys haven't watched the Carbot animation for Stormgate, the very first Carbot animation for Stormgate dropped pretty recently. And it's a pretty good one. What's interesting to me is that Carbot uses the new model for the command post. But he's got the old model fiends. The fiends that pop out are like the little skeletons without a lower half of the body. What is this dog? Again, like this feels like Frigate, back in the Frigate days when it was like or Elephant, back in the Elephant days when it was just like dogs chewing on buildings forever and ever. But man, High has just sprinted up to 3 bases now. All right, a couple of dogs. Coming up to try and harass a little bit. I think they officially do bonus damage to these nodes. I can't see the armor type. I think that is still lightly armored though, and that glitch effect while it's transforming is really cool. Anyway, the Argents are going to shoot their own buildings to charge up energy. As weird as that sounds, but yeah, Gracelite node is taking a while to come online. First Hedgehog's out, and that's going to be really big threat to the Argents here.
Will activate soon.
And they do manage to get a volley off though, and the Gracelite node was able to transform into a Judicator node, which is heavily armored. Okay, so it does stay heavy armored no matter what. If it changed armor types depending on what its configuration was, that would be pretty cool. Couple more creation chambers coming on down for Grimmy, but there's a Stormgate coming online, and Grimmy does not have the fast units in this matchup. The floating four-sided donut is shaking around there, waiting to get taken, and it looks like High's going to be the one that's going to show up, and I think he's pretty secure in knowing that it's like, okay, you know, the very first Stormgate you're sometimes a little bit nervous about taking just because. Maybe your opponent tries to come across the map and do some damage, but the Argents are just so slow that there's no way that they could do damage while High's getting the Stormgate rewards. Okay, but he is going to be able to... Actually, this is a fantastic opportunity for for Grimmy to be charging up his Argents as they're dumping shots into the Stormgate. A couple of the doggies there at the very front line are low enough health that they can be a bit of a nuisance to the Argents, but Argents are tanky enough. They don't really care if they get nibbled on, but the Hedgehogs are the actual problem. There's 4 of them, which is still pretty scary. I don't know that I would want the weaker ones towards the front, but I think you could still take out enough Argents. And is High just going to let it? Yeah. Stormgate pops. What prize does he pick? Ooh, that's a really good one. That's gonna make engaging these Argents a little bit scarier. Just because if the Hedgehogs try to like poke in, they're gonna get slowed by the creeping whore. Oh no, where's it going? Why is it taking the long way around? No, what are you doing? No, creeping whore, you need to be with your friends. Okay. Alright, friendship secured. Friendship is how all the superheroes win against Thanos, I think. And that Repair-matic is doing a lot of work. Heaven stepped on forward to kill the Repair-matic. It does go down. And now that's going to be a lot of expensive units that are going to go down here for High. So many workers going down as well. Acting as cannon fodder, honestly. Okay, and now the creeping horse starting to do damage to the Hedgehogs. I keep on wanting to call them Sonics, but Sonic the Hedgehog, you guys get it. The creeping horde dead yet? Not yet. He does activate his active ability to get away from all those hedgehogs quickly. But yeah, now all these hedgehogs are. Oh no! But that Vulcan was getting a fantastic connection there. All the Argents managed to burst it down, and I think this game is going the way of Grimmy. He was able to kind of smother High before High could really get all of his like more production structures up and running. And like then he had to spend a bunch of resources to get more servos. Oh no, come on, zombie man. But does the debuff? Okay, so Creeping Horde does finally go down. But there's also a lot of worker damage being done. Like, there were a lot of workers that had to be rebuilt in that fight. Another Hedgehog goes down. And MedTech goes. Man, this is just a lot of, like, everything going down. Now, it wasn't for free. Grimmy did have to sacrifice quite a few Argents there, but I think if he goes back and... Oh, and he did not forget to macro behind all that. Oh, Lord. Okay, so High's on 4 bases somehow. Man, the ability for these players to continue, like, fighting a fight, decide, like, hey, this is going to be a really good angle on this, like, column of Argents on top of macroing and, like, saturating Illuminite Mine is baffling to me. But a lot of those Gracelite nodes are going to burn a bunch of energy to make sure that those Argents are going to get topped off on health before they keep marching along. And march along they will. They're no longer supported by the creeping horror, so getting kited is a much more real possibilities, not the right word, but it's a much more real threat, I would say. One more volley, there we go. Taking Vulcans out, always a priority, just because they're so expensive and their potential for damage is insane. 5 Argents not looking very healthy. A bunch more reinforcing south here, but you really want to get those battered and bruised ones kind of towards the back line, so maybe you can salvage them. But if you can't, at least you tried. What do we have here for combat power, though? There's really not much. Like, and Grimmy's continuing to focus down the support units. Servo's trying to keep the Hedgehogs healed up, but it's not really working all that much. And it's just this constant siege. It's the Battle of Stalingrad over here at the 3rd for High. And behind all this, get this, he's built another base. He's building another base right now while microing this fight. Like, how do you have the time to do all that? I don't understand. A lot of units going down here pretty quickly. Hedgehog is getting taken out as well. The Kree's trying to do its best against all these servos. And that's a lot of servos that are going down. Never mind the command post taking all this damage from the reinforcements coming from the north. Yeah, and there goes that entire base. It's just gone. It's simply gone. A couple of servos remain. And they stick around behind. Now, will they be able to rebuild the command post? Probably could. And High's actually doing a fantastic job of staying in the game. I thought for sure he would have GG'd a while ago, and he hasn't been above 100 supply in, I don't know. It seems like it's been at least like 3 or 4 minutes already. But a Vulcan is out, and the Vulcan's going to be able to do a lot of damage against these Kree, especially if they make the mistake of bunching up and being at the front line. But what's the alternative here? I think High's really got Grimmy in a tough situation. It's like, okay, do you put your Argents at the front line so that the Hedgehogs can nuke them down, or do you put your Kree in the front line so that the Vulcan can shred them? Like it feels like there's no right answer for Grimmy here, but I guess the right answer is to keep the army occupied and drown them in your own blood while the other half of your army is taking out production. That is quite brutal to deal with. Grimmy having to Grimmy having to micro, well, I guess kind of micro the siege down there a little bit, as well as his units up here. No, you have another whole half of your army that's not fighting yet. There we go. More Hedgehogs getting taken out. Looking like this entire army for High is just a couple of med techs, a Vulcan, and some Hedgehogs, but stranger holds have happened. There we go. Down goes the Vulcan. Down goes basically every army unit. GG says High, and Grimmy ties up the series 1-1. GG's, guys. All right, guys, here we go. We're getting into game number 3. Hold on to your butts. All right, guys, here we are in game number 3 between between High and Grimmy on Black Ice. I believe this map was made by Matterino TV. They're Matterino. In fact, I'm like 90% sure. You know what? It might be Guillotine. I think Guillotine made this map, actually, now that I think about it. Guillotine, I apologize. It's a 3-player map, when we don't often see 3-player maps, but here's the 3 spawn locations. 1, 2, 3. What's really interesting to me about this map is that there's this little cliff area behind the main that you can probably drop atlases on. And that, that's a very scary position to try to like dislodge. But I'll be curious to see what both players do with it. Imagine dropping, instead of like units up here, static D structures, or like air production structures. Imagine like coming up here with a Harbinger, dropping down some imps, making and then just like throwing down some Twilight Spires. That would be absolutely terrifying. Like, what do you do to dislodge that? All right, in the center of the map here, we've got a demon statue taking a bath. Tentacles. Oh my! We should probably blur that. And over here we've got High, human man, race that build a dog that has a human skeleton. Okay, but the scout's gonna come on down and look at the natural probably, and find everything. Yep, there it is. Grimmy's gonna say something about it. Watch. Yeah. Okay, so something got packed up into a morph core. Morph cores work very differently this patch. I like the fact that it's not arc ships that build morph cores that can turn into anything. It's more that any building can turn into a morph core, and it gets like packaged up, and then it's ready to move somewhere else. It's not as simple to just shotgun out a bunch of morph cores and then build whatever you want to build. Here's what I was talking about. Oh, if you could put a morph core on top of other structures, that would be, or on top of this ledge, it would be really cool. I don't know if it's unbuildable or not, though. A couple of scouts harassing this poor little prism. Just wants to mine a little bit. And the rest of the prisms are going to say, leave my friend alone. Another prism shows up, and it's going to get denied entry into its own base. That's the third. No! Do we have anything out yet for Grimmy? There we go. There's 2 Argents. Finally. But is this going to be enough? Oh! I think he could have had... I think he could have blocked those Hedgehogs in. Ah, no, that's a lot of damage, though. This is a lot of damage to be taking. All those prisms are pretty valuable. Yeah, that's a lot of eco. That's a lot of mining that's just not happening anymore. Argent's firing from the high ground. Okay, and I think this is that Grace Light's turning into Adjudicator node. First Stormgate pops up on Grimmy's side of the map, but he is very, very busy right now. I'll be surprised. You know what? In fact, I would even go so far as to say he's in a bit of a pickle. He is in some trouble. But if I can keep on bouncing around and like take full advantage of the if he can keep taking advantage of this wellspring, excuse me, he might be all right. Yeah, and he's got enough hedgehogs out. I don't know that moving Argents back and forth is really going to do as much as Grimmy wants. Yeah, and we're already seeing the supply disparity happen here. No. Yep, and the creation chamber gets destroyed before it can get turned into a morph core. Second creation chamber getting transformed down, or getting burst down a little bit. One Argent going down. Yeah, the entire army for Grimmy is these, like, feels like it's these 2 Argents. Now getting there we go. That looks really nice. But how is High able to see on that? Is it like is it that cliff vision bug? Is that still a thing? Creation chamber also goes down, so we're down to 1, soon to be 2 creation chambers, but I think this is going to be game here pretty soon. Well, I say that, but Grimmy has expanded. Oh, brother. Has expanded. Yeah, the Adjudicator node getting a few shots off on these hedgehogs while he could, but just not nearly enough. And you know what? Yeah, there's the GG. There's the GG. High goes up 2-1. All right, on to game number 4. GG's, guys. All right, guys, here we are in game number 4 between Grimmy and High in the semifinals of the FABS25 tournament. Here's High. Here's Grimmy. And here is the map known as Breach. I think, you know, every time that we pull up another map, I say, oh, no, this one might be my favorite of the tournament map pool. But Breach, I think, is a little bit more, has a little bit more of a soft spot in my heart, just because there's a lot of complexity with the ramps. It's not just, oh, well, here's a ramp that leads to my natural that I can wall off. It's like, okay, but wall off that one, wall off this one. Like, there's so much. It looks very tight and it looks very, like, choked up, but there's enough up and down, there's enough ramps, there's enough verticality where you can still play around with a lot of this map. All right, Grimmy going for quick natural. We don't see any creation chambers out just yet. But Grimmy's probably feeling very relieved that he knows where to use his Zenith scan now. So he's got that going for him, which is pretty nice. There we go. Speaking of the Zenith scan, he is going to see the barracks on that one, and he does see that it immediately starts building. So he knows it's probably going to be a dog. Speaking of, I'm seeing in chat that no, Filibuster, this is not an island map. This is just like splishy splashy map. This is the shallow water. It's a shallow water map. Okay. So 5 damage plus 3 against light. Okay. So it doesn't do as much damage as it used to do before, but dogs still do some pretty decent damage for as dense as you can get them packed in, as well as for how much they cost. Like, they don't cost much at all. And you can, like, being able to dump Luminite into making dogs and then using them to catch a bunch of Argents or to catch a bunch of army is pretty nice. The dog is now standing next to a collection array, and I think he can't. Maybe he can't bite it right now, or maybe he's stuck. He's just not doing something. All right, these dogs are going to start attacking the prisms, but they don't get a whole lot of damage done. The prisms say, hey, shoo, go away. We just want to mine here. We're working here. Oh no, Grace Light Node's gonna finish here pretty soon, but how much damage is it gonna take before it goes down? It's only got 280 health. some prisms show up and they start using their little taser beams to shoot the dogs away. Now, is this going to be a repeat of the last couple of games where it's like, okay, it's basically just going to be Argents versus Mech. Argents versus Hedgehogs and Vulcans. I think... No, I almost wish that we would see some Cabal here just to kind of keep those Hedgehogs on their toes, where it's like, hey, if you step forward and I've got energy, that's going to be a lifted Hedgehog, and a lifted Hedgehog is a dead Hedgehog.
Dimensional rift detected.
Wow.
A Stormgate will activate
I don't
soon.
often cast this long. I'm starting to like fumble over my own words. Oh no! The great damage from the Hedgehog is getting rid of. Well, it got rid of one Argent. Oh, did you see how it ragdolled down the ramp there? That was pretty cool.
A Stormgate has appeared.
First Stormgate's online, and is High going to go for it? Nope, that Hedgehog is going to continue moving on forward there. Putting on the pressure, but I think he... I don't know if it's wise to continue putting on that pressure, though. He's facing more and more Argents. All right, the dog goes down. Yeah, he really wants that injured Hedgehog, but down goes one Argent as well. One Argent for a dog is not a bad trade. Now the Argents are going to start refilling their energy on the Stormgate. I think that's something that needs to be taken into account. Is like, yeah, these Argents are charging up for Heaven Step, for their charge shot. Like, this is also a resource for the Celestials, who are already kind of a weird race in that they're not really like anything that... Oh no, being able to get on this step would be really good. Yeah, and it's almost like it's almost like an opposite of a stutter step, where the more that High retreats units, the more that Grimmy can just start damaging down the ones that stuck around. Now, typically that'd be a little bit worrying, where it's like, okay, well, now you've just got a whole bunch of very battered units, but look, here's the Repair-O-Matic. Its function is to repair stuff. Okay, Stormgate finishes up. Grimmy is going to get a... Ooh, the Creeping Horror. Very, very nice. That's going to be a huge problem for High, actually. And High is starting to fall behind a little bit. Looks like Grimmy's doubling down on the Argents. We've got Heaven Step coming along the way here, as well as Nano Swarm out of High. Now, I haven't seen Nano Swarm being used a whole lot offensively, but that also might be just because I don't see... Like, for a while, the Nano Swarm visual effect has been kind of hard to make out. Yeah, with this Creeping Horror out, it's going to be pretty easy to slow down these Hedgehogs, but the Creeping Horror has to stop attacking random stuff. No, I get the Creeping Horror out of there. Yep, get him out of there. Okay, there we go. You know, I almost wouldn't hate seeing a Saber right now, just because the Hedgehogs are so annoying in their ability to, like, get in, poke around a little bit, and the moment the Argents, like, you can see the time that it takes them to turn around. The moment they turn around, the Hedgehogs can just be like, nope, I'm out, and leave. But with a Saber, you can't really harass something if it has a longer range than you could. Being able to, you know, having a Saber on hand that would just keep on dumping shots into the Hedgehogs would be pretty nice. Boop. 2 of them. Does it affect? I really want to know if it affects attack speed. Nope, just movement speed. Big Daddy Vulcan's out. He is a tanky boy. I don't know if this is enough. If this is enough Argents to face off against that many Hedgehogs as well as a Vulcan. Ay, what were those Argents doing? What were they doing? Okay, I think this position is just lost. I don't know that there's anything that Grimmy can do to hold this. Well, I say that, but there's a lot of very battered up Hedgehogs. Oh, but they're not that battered up. 2 more Vulcans join the fray, and they're going to start nuking down some of these production structures. You see a lot of defensive Nano Swarms going down, but yeah, these are still mechanical. Argents are still mechanical. Being able to throw down, and because they're so small, I think that the Argents bunch up. You could probably get really good value for putting down an offensive Nano Swarm on a bunch of these Argents. Not that it matters all that much. High is starting to climb ever higher. His supply is at 130, well, it was almost 140, but 136 to Grimmy's 100, and seems like there's no slowing Hyde down. He's just going to keep on marching right into Grimmy's natural. So many of these adjudicator nodes. Are they going to finish up? Probably not. It takes a long time for those power nodes to morph. Oh, taking out that hedgehog, that veteran hedgehog would have been huge. I don't see any names under these hedgehogs. I wonder if they just don't get named. Call sign Tempest Monk. Monk, if you're out there, I hope you're watching. Here's your Vulcan right here. All right, do the Archangels get names as well? Ragnar, Duriel, Seraphine. Does the Creeping Horror get a name? No. Womp, womp, womp. All right, Hyde decides to disengage. I think if he had stepped forward a little bit, though, I think he might have been able to win the game. No, so many hedgehogs are going to be able to siege up, and they do manage to take out the Arc ship. Ay, ay, ay. The collection rate goes down as well. No, and nothing. Nobody gets that Stormgate. The spinning four-sided donut goes back into the ground. But now Grimmy's entire army is trapped in the middle here. This is kind of the reason why I like this map so much. It's like, okay, you got to make sure that, do you really want to go in for it that bad? Grimmy said yes, but GG says Grimmy, and High is going to go on to the grand finals 3-1 against Grimmy. GG's, guys.